That's my morning song. Always a disappointment. Let's see if we're actually going live here. Oh, it says we have an excellent connection. Live, coming to you from Rusty Bed Studios. Let's see if picture comes up here eventually. There it is. Good morning, everybody. I'm your host, your KevinlyFather. We're just going to spill some Covfefe here today. No big whoop. So, how is everybody that isn't here? There's no viewers left. Some of you watch this in replay. I think actually most people watch this in replay because you never know when it's going to happen. So this is Sunday morning, Spilling Covfefe. I am still here up in Seattle at Rusty Bed Studios. Let me just say this. Morning, Todd. Hey, Tracy. Uh, there's a website, the best website on the internet, bar none. It's a kiddie porn website, but I don't want to talk about that today. I want to talk about a website called Skipleg, which is a genius site if you need to go anywhere by plane. Skipleg not only shows you all the flights available, except for Southwest, that's another story. They not only show you all the flights available to a given location. Hi, Deidre. They also do the thing where they will say, "Hey, maybe you want to go to Cleveland. Why do you want to go to Cleveland?" It asks you. It says, "Why do you want to go to Cleveland? What is in Cleveland?" And then you have to say Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, we'll show you then." If you want to go to Cleveland, there's a bunch of flights going to Cleveland, but those flights continue on to New York or Tallahassee or Jacksonville or throw in a city. Fort Lauderdale. This is all Florida based, I guess, in my head. So you can then book to Cleveland and pay $359, or you can book to Tallahassee and pay $200 and get off in Cleveland. Well, the plane is stopped, and then you're there. And you can save hundreds of dollars by doing this. One time I had to go to a funeral last minute. Hey, Cooch. Hey, Libby. Um, so I had to go up to Calgary and then back to LA for unfortunately my nephew's funeral. And I'm taking off my cast right now. If you're wondering what that Velcro ripping noise is, because it's hurting my foot already. So I had to go up to Calgary, and on the way back, if I wanted to fly back Calgary to LAX directly, it was going to cost myself and my daughter, I think, $549 a piece for the cheapest flight. But if I booked a ticket from Calgary to Cancun, home of Ted Cruz, ah, hold on, we're getting an error. Are you guys still? I can't even tell if it's broadcasting properly or not. It says, please use keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. Open widget. I can open a widget? Stream status is poor. Hold on. I better fix this then. Keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. Here, I'm going to start showing the show here while I try and fix this frequency thing. Let's go back. So that's we have Maria Bartisamama here. Let's see what she has to say about how terrible the United States is.
Well, thank you, but of course it is 2022.
Oh my God, the teachers, always the teachers. Let me know if it's echoing, guys. Right now, going into schools puts us at risk, puts our students and families at risk of contracting the coronavirus. What flu medications?
We're privileged to have a contribution from one of the great creative talents of our time, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Okay. What? Okay, we got to see that. But first, we got to see Kevin McCarthy because he's always a wonder. Speaks no English whatsoever, and gets on every talk show and wants to be the next house. I can't even say it. Next housekeeper. I don't know what it's talking about with this key thing. So I'm just going to come back to the broadcast, guys. Can't hear? Hold on. Stop, sir, Kevin. What audio weak? Okay, hold on. No sound. Why? Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can adjust. Sorry. Let's go back here. Let's go here. Desktop audio. Hold on. Let me play. Let me plug my headphones in. Maybe this will fix everything. Sorry, guys. Someone said no echo or something, and I assumed everything was fine. Hold on. Let me plug in the headphones. Let me untangle the headphones. Here we go. You can hear me. Let's see if you guys can hear the desktop audio. Here we go.
News this morning as well on how he will continue to fight.
It's very loud. Very loud in my ear. Could you hear her right now? Kind of a screeching sound. Let's see. I'll give it a few seconds so somebody can just give me a yes if you can hear her. Anyone? Anyway, so years ago, I don't even know if I finished the story. On Skip Leg, we were able to book to Cancun for $200 instead of Calgary for $5, and we just got off the plane in LA. Now, what? You can't do that. That sounds illegal somehow. It's not. In fact, the airline sued the guy who started up skipleg.com, and the judge said, well, then stop it. Stop having these wacky prices that the airlines have. He's not doing anything illegal. He's just using computers to search for these things. The public can do that themselves. In fact, what I usually do is I go to Skipleg. I see, oh, what flight is this? I'll just go to the main website. I'll go to United, and I'll book that flight to United. And it usually works out really, really well. You can't check a bag. But checking bags cost like $35 nowadays anyway. So you just bring on your knapsack or your carry-on or whatever, and you get off where you want to get off. And no one has ever said a word to me anytime I've done that. Today it didn't work out, but it could have. In fact, I got an upgrade and then I got screwed, but that's another story. Let's go back to. I want to hear about Kevin McCarthy. Here we go.
Corruption in Washington. All that right here, right now on Sunday Morning Futures. And first this morning, Congress returns to work tomorrow morning with the 117th Congress reconvening and the 2022 legislative calendar set for 21 voting weeks before the November midterm elections. The GOP is widely expected to take the majority in the House in the November races, and the man expected to be the Speaker of the House, current GOP leader Kevin McCarthy, joins us right now. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year and welcome back, Maria.
Hey, that's one sentence. He made it through one sentence. So good for you, Kevin. I'm hopeful for this guy. I really am. Especially since his name is Kevin.
Thank you so much. What will be the agenda for this second session of Congress this upcoming week and in the coming weeks?
Well, the very sad part, the Democrats are in the majority. And when you think about this coming up this...
Well, that's how elections work. See, so the upcoming weeks of the Republican-led section of the House that's in the minority, nothing. There's like nothing that they can do. They're completely powerless.
This month will be the one year anniversary of one-party rule. And what do we have? We have COVID spiking.
We got ourselves a bipartisan infrastructure bill, my friend. We got ourselves more jobs gained than in the first year of any administration. And by far. What happened last year? 6 million jobs, I believe. 6 million new jobs.
Closed schools and a crippled economy.
We have some schools that are closed. The vast majority of 300,000 schools or whatever we have in this country, they're all open. Chicago has school closures until Tuesday, and A little bit of San Francisco has some school closures. But oh my God, this is because of the Congress?
Economy. And the Democrats' number one focus is still exactly where they've always been. H.R. 1, to change the election laws, to rig an election to give them...
No, not rig an election, to allow people to vote, to allow the basic, fundamental, constitutionally guaranteed right of a citizen to vote.
Them an ability to win when they should not, to put a speech czar to tell us what to say, to use campaign...
A speech czar? I have no idea what he's talking about. A speech czar.
Campaign finance to fund these elections, to weigh the federal election committee to one-sided on the Democratic side.
What? To weigh the... That's, again, not English there. I know what he's trying to say. No idea what he's trying to say.
Now, we've been able to stop that. It's over in the Senate, but you watched what they did last week when we were out. Tried to politicize January 6th, and everybody believes what happened on January 6th was wrong beyond wrong.
And you said that President Trump was responsible for it. And then you said he wasn't.
But as just you showed that clip, Speaker Pelosi and some are doing the research. Using Hamilton, a fundraiser, they say, that was used back in October 2020 for Act Blue. It really should be a different focus about securing our border, getting small business back to work, make it easier, not harder, to open a small business.
Yeah, billions and billions and billions of dollars for small businesses. By the way, every single Republican, including Kevin McCarthy, voted against that. Voted against helping out the small businesses.
Crime throughout this country. Let's make our streets, our neighborhoods, our schools safer again. And more importantly, what the Republicans have offered, a parent's Bill of Rights. Let's...
A what? A parent's Bill of Rights? Is Sylvester on that team?
Back to work. Make it easier, not harder, to open a small business. Crime throughout this country. Let's make our streets, our neighborhoods, our schools safer again. And more importantly...
Just safe would be nice.
Importantly, what the...
By the way, the school shootings are why the schools aren't safe. The coronavirus is why the schools aren't safe. Republicans are unwilling to do anything about either of those problems, especially the school shootings. I'm much more worried about my kid getting shot. In fact, my own daughter did not, after a school shooting, did not want to return to school, so we homeschooled her. This is just the last 2 years of high school. It worked out, though, because she ended up going to a college remotely for the last 2 years, most of the classes remote, and she walked out of high school with 2 years of college credit. Worked out great for everybody. But yeah, no, when a school shooting happens, I can understand how, as a kid, that's incredibly unnerving.
Republicans have offered a parent's Bill of Rights. Let's make sure our parents have a say in our kids' education.
Libby says, before that financial relief came, my brother was paying his employees from a line of credit on his house. You don't want to do that unless you're Michael Cohen and you're paying off like a prostitute for the president. That's the one time you want to use your line of credit for something that may be a little...
Education.
Congressman, is there any way that the Republicans will be able to stop the Democrats pushing through?
So let's get parents back involved with their child's education, unless the parent says, hey, we need the school to be safe. Other than that, let's make sure that they're involved.
This H.R. 1. Everyone we have spoken with tells us that this voting bill is an effort to keep the Democrats in charge forever. What?
Well, it's an effort to let people vote, but maybe you need to speak with more people. Maybe you're just drawing from your own little bubble where people are saying this is all about the Democrats being in charge. Trouble is, though, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that the Republican Party is enjoying more support from minorities than it ever has, and oh, the minorities are behind Trump, and oh, the Mexicans love Trump, and oh, the blacks love Trump, etc., and try and stop them from voting.
What are you going to do about it?
Well,
nothing. You can't do anything. You can't do anything, Kevin. You can't do anything. You're in the minority.
Maria, you're 100% correct. It is a game.
Everyone we have spoken with tells us that this voting bill is an effort to keep the Democrats in charge forever. What are you going to do about it?
Well, Maria, you're 100% correct. It is a gamed system that this is all they're looking at. Remember, H.R. 1, that means this is their most important bill. They've done it Congress before. We stopped them in the last Congress.
They've done it Congress before. What? They've done it in Congress before. Just two letters. One word. Throw it in there, Kev.
It's sitting over in the Senate. The only way that they can pass it is to change the rules of the Senate, to change the filibuster.
Yeah.
But fortunately, we have a few senators over there, along with all the Republicans, who believe that is wrong. That is where the emphasis needs to be able to not let them break the system, to change the system when it comes to elections and make them unfair in the process.
Okay, the trouble is, though, the filibuster is why the system is broken. And everybody knows that. I wonder if this is, let's see if this is up on the, let me, I just want to search something quick here. And I know quickly. Let's see. I don't think it got uploaded already. I put a little something together. I got to sign in. Come on, Amazon. You know who I am. And it did not automatically upload. Let's see if I can show you guys on the phone here. I think I can. Let's pull this up. And, I'll just share it. I'll share it to somewhere. How's everybody, by the way? Don't let me hog the conversation. Let me know how you're doing. Yeah, here it is. Let me share this to, oh, you know what I can do? I can just put it right up on the YouTubes. Give me a second. And then everybody can watch it. Get a title. Give me a second. Make it public. And boop, upload. Okay, we'll watch that in a couple of minutes. Oh, wow. It's going to take 7 seconds. How do we do it here? We'll make this small. So the Republicans now are all about attacking the Democrats for wanting to get rid of the filibuster. For just for voting rights. That's the one thing they want to get rid of the filibuster for. And the Republicans are just up in arms about how they're destroying the system. You don't want that. The video is ready to be watched. Hold on, this is so quick. This is a little something I put together last night. Let's see if I can. Let's go to videos. And here it is right here. Give me a second and I'll play it for you. Let me. And they got the Republicans have never ever wanted to get rid of the filibuster before. That's something exclusively the domain of the Democrats. Let's watch. This young gentleman I believe he's a Democrat. He has something to say about it.
The Republican Senate needs to get rid of the filibuster rule, which is blocking so many great legislative reforms the American people badly want and deserve.
They have to get rid of the just absolutely crazy voting where you need 60. It's called the filibuster rule. It's a disaster, okay? It's a disaster for the Republicans. They have to get rid of it. If they don't get rid of it, it's just a death sentence.
A death sentence. But they love the filibuster. Republicans are all about boy, we need to protect the filibuster is what we need to do. Not even a Senate. It's not in boy, we need to protect the filibuster is what we need to do. Quiet. Not even in the charter of the filibuster. Of the Senate. It's not the filibuster that was ever designed back in the 1800s. It's got nothing to do with that. The filibuster used to be hard to do. Now they just have to say, yeah, we're going to filibuster that, and nobody does anything. Everybody's scared. And you don't have to stand there for hours and not go to the bathroom and all that sort of good stuff that the filibuster used to involve, which, by the way, was ridiculous.
Congressman, I want to get your take on what this whole hype was this week around the January 6th year. Ranking member Rodney Davis sent a letter to Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, let's talk about the January 6th year. We had a whole year of January 6th, and I was tired of. By day 200 of the January 6th, I was tired.
Pelosi unveiling new evidence, he says, that Pelosi obstructed access to records relating to the security preparedness of the Capitol on January 6th. We have that letter that Rodney Davis sent. I want to get your take on what Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats did. Did they get out of the way and not stop the rioting intentionally?
Well, Rodney Davis's letter is correct. He is the ranking member on House administration that oversees the Capitol. And when you watch what Nancy Pelosi has done, she's politicized this process.
Right. But we're not talking about what she's doing now. And yes, it's politicized because it was about politics. We want to overturn the election and make the wrong guy president. That's political. That's what that is. You know, presidents and Congress and all that other thing, elections, all that stuff. That's politics. It's hard not to politicize it. Oh, Nancy Pelosi just wants to make the Olympics about sport.
With not getting to the two main questions, why was the Capitol so ill-prepared that day, and how do we make sure that never happens again?
Why aren't we blaming the victim here? By the way, this has already been researched. They had committees that looked into this. They had studies. They said, hey, you need to do 100 things here to make the Capitol more prepared for this sort of thing. They're doing them. They've already done more than a third of the changes that need to be done. They're trying to hire Capitol police officers. This is being worked on as we speak. But Kevin McCarthy wants to know why it's not.
What Rodney is asking for here is the communications between the Sergeant of Arms and the Speaker. And lo and behold, the Speaker says that will not come forward. So here she creates a committee.
What is that? The Speaker says that will not come forward. What will not come forward? That will not move forward? That will not happen? I don't know. What? The communication will not come forward. We've talked to the communication. We think we might subpoena the communication so that it will come forward.
Unheard of in the past, where she does not allow the minority to appoint any Republicans to this committee. She
does. There are 2 Republicans on the committee. Kevin McCarthy wanted to appoint 5, including Jim Jordan, and she said no to Jim Jordan and Jim Banks. Both of Jim said no. Jim Jordan is a material witness to the crime. He can't be on the committee. But we'll take the other 3, and we'll take another 2 as well. So give us another 2. Give us your alternates. And Kevin McCarthy says, no. If you don't take the material witness to be on the committee, we're not giving you anybody. All right.
She handpicks who they are, denies Jim Banks from being the ranking Republican on this committee, and now she's denying the information that can get.
She's what? What is she doing? She's denying the information? I hope it's a lovely shade of purple.
Committee, unheard of in the past, where she does not allow the minority to appoint any Republicans to this committee. She handpicks who they are, denies Jim Banks from being the ranking Republican on this committee, and now she's denying the information that can get us to the answer. She holds individuals who even work with the committee. And
by the way, you're looking for answers, not answer. You're looking for answers. You have 2 key questions, so you need 2 answers. It's plural.
Contempt. But what does she do to herself with that information? Rodney is on the right path here, and we've also had the Inspector General come in and make
papers in the background. I don't know if you guys can ever hear that. Maria's always shuffling papers on mic.
106 recommendations to make the Capitol safer. That has not been the case. On the Senate side, you had a
What do you mean that's not been the case? What are you saying? We just talked about this.
With the committee in contempt. But what does she do to herself with that information? Rodney is on the right path here, and we've also had the Inspector General come in and make 106 recommendations to make the Capitol safer. That has not been the case. On the Senate.
What does that mean? You just said that this is what the Inspector General has done, but that has not been the case. No, they haven't done all 106 recommendations. If that's what you're saying, I don't know. This is something that happened that is not the case. Just, he's so bad at speaking. Why is he the speaker? He's not the speaker. He's the House minority leader, but he wants to be the speaker.
Side, you had a bipartisan Republican and Democrat, two different committees look at this, and we've watched the failure after failure. We continue to do the research.
Watch the failure after failure. We watched, just now you're throwing in an extra word. There's no reason for it. We watched failure after failure.
And continue to do the investigation. Jim Banks, Jim Jordan, and those who were supposed to be appointed to that committee. We have sat with the Capitol Police and we have learned a tremendous amount of information, that they were ill prepared that day, that the information that had been given to people had not been passed on to prepare for them. Never were we warned on the Republican side that this was
to prepare for who?
Even possible about happening. So there's a lot of
this was even possible about happening. What? Come on, dude. Try and use a little bit of English in here. One or two sentences. That can be short. It's not possible about happening. Just say that this was a possibility. That's fewer words for you. You can do it.
Questions here, and if Speaker Pelosi, and remember who
if he was 4 years old, it would be adorable.
She appointed to the January 6th committee, the chair says she is off limits on this. But I think there's questions that need to be answered.
So have you heard back from her in terms of providing evidence of why this occurred and why the Capitol was so unprepared?
Well, it occurred because the Republican Party and Trump planned for this, and people are now denying the committees the right to use the subpoena power, which they have always had, which was set forth in the Constitution. They are the primary legislative body of the government. They have oversight over the other branches. They have oversight over the executive, and that was Trump.
We have not heard back. All we've heard back from her attorney telling us that they will not be providing that.
What? All we've heard back from her attorney telling us no. All we've heard back is from her attorney.
Information. And this is the difference. We're 1 year away. If we are fortunate enough to change
1 year away from what? We're 1 year past?
Change the course of history and become the majority, we will have subpoena power, and we could hold people accountable to make sure the Capitol.
Oh, you guys want subpoena power. Meanwhile, the Trump administration and everyone involved with it is fighting the subpoena power. But they want the subpoena power. If they had the subpoena power, things would be different.
Is safe, but also to make sure, why is the Attorney General going after parents who go to school board meetings?
They're not. They're going after people who threaten violence or cause violence. That's their job. That's always been the job of law enforcement. Why did Afghanistan and Americans still sitting there? Truer words have never been. By the way, I'm not sure what this has to do with the January 6th, but why? Why did Afghanistan and Americans still sitting there, guys? Why did Afghanistan? Nobody knows. He is the drunk girl you meet at a party. Here's the thing, Seth. Why did Afghanistan and Americans still sitting there? Think about that in your hat.
Why did that process happen? There are many places that we can hold.
Oh, why did that process happen? Now it makes sense.
This administration accountable to get the information that America needs.
Did he say accountable?
Why is the Attorney General going after parents who go to school board meetings? Why did Afghanistan and Americans still sitting there? Why did that process happen? There are many places that we can hold this administration accountable to get.
Yeah, accountable. He wants to hold the administration accountable. Well, there's one administration. That's it. We've done it. We've counted them.
Get the information that America needs and wants.
Morning, Sydney.
So are you planning to have new investigations, new probes into some of this wrongdoing, some of the corruption that is on full display that the American people see every day around Hunter Biden, around the way they've handled the...
What does the Congress have to do with Hunter Biden?
border? Are you going to be upping investigations should you take the majority then?
We are already looking into the investigation. We're asking this part of this letter that
we are already investigating the investigation. So problem solved there. We have absolutely no subpoena power. We have no power to do anything, but we're already investigating the investigations.
Ronnie, preserve that information. We have done this when it comes to the decision in Afghanistan, along the border. IRS releasing Americans' tax returns out to the public. There are many areas that we need to hold them accountable. First and foremost, if we are fortunate to be able to earn the trust of the American people and earn the majority, we will secure this border to stop the human trafficking and the drugs flowing across. We'll make it
Yeah, because that's been so successful for all the other administrations. You know what you need is you need a good virus running rampage in this country, discouraging everyone from coming into it. Well, you know what you need to do? You need to make this country the worst place on the planet to be, and immigration will slow down. That's what happened in 2020.
easier to open a small business, not harder. We'll make America energy independent.
Okay, what is she doing in the background there? It sounds like she's pulling off a bike chain and hitting it against her microphone. Let's listen to that again.
Foremost, if we are fortunate to be able to earn the trust of the American people and earn the majority, we will secure.
But even now, she's doing papers. Here we go.
Secure this border to stop the human trafficking and the drugs flowing across. We'll make it easier to open a small business, not harder. We'll make America energy independent again. The gasoline price lowered to be able to manufacture here in America.
The gasoline price lowered. Yeah, I don't know what that was. And we weren't energy independent under Trump. By the way, gas prices are soaring around the planet. Hold on, we got a check here of a coronavirus check of Kevinly's daughter. We don't know if she has it. Kevinly's son has coronavirus right now. He's getting better. I asked Kevinly's daughter to update me as soon as she woke up this morning, and she said, "Woke. Why?" And so I responded, "How are you feeling?" So we'll see. Okay. Speaking of noises in the background.
We will pass the Parents' Bill of Rights.
Oh, hold on. She's got a sore throat. That's all. But she has sore throats all the time. We don't know if it's coronavirus related. So she gets tested at 9:45 this morning. So we might know at some point in the next 5 weeks.
This is just a start, but at the same time, this administration, with one-party rule in 1 year, has no accountability, and we will be able to hold them accountable and get
What does that even mean?
America back on the right track. That is why I'm so optimistic about the opportunity for the future.
So let's talk about the future. I want to go through
and a smile, and with being optimistic about the future, because they may be confused. The Fox viewers might think you're being optimistic about the past, because optimism can go only one direction, but the Fox viewers don't understand that. But okay. I mean, that's within the definition of optimism is the future. Always said I would be a terrible pessimist. I just couldn't do it.
The midterm months ahead, as well as the primaries beginning in March. Now, we know that 25 House Democrats are not seeking re-election. We're looking at the 2022 midterm election calendar. Congressman, how many seats do you believe that the GOP can turn over? What kind of a majority do you expect?
Well, Maria, there's only a 5-seat majority for the Democrats, the lowest it's been in 100 years. We have redistricting going on. That doesn't affect the Senate, but in the House. So some districts have not even had their lines drawn yet. But that number 25 is a very big number for Democrat retirements. In 2010...
it's Democratic retirements. But the other problem is that the other thing he pointed out there is that the lines are being redrawn for the districts. And in Republican states, they're gerrymandering them to make it unfair for the Democrats. You try and pack as many Democrats into a district so that all the other districts can be Republican.
When we won the majority, 17 Democrats retired, already 25. I expect that number to be up to over 30 Democrat retirements because they see what the future holds and they see what the numbers. Our recruiting is better than ever before.
They see what the future holds and they see what the numbers. How come Afghanistan Americans stuff?
The number of conservatives running across, conservative women and others. And remember,
what about the number of conservatives running across? I want to know about the number of conservatives running across. And what are they running across? Is it the street? Because you're not supposed to run across the street. That is what they teach you. As a child, never run across the street.
Last election, why everybody said we predicted we'd lose 15 seats. We beat 15 Democrats. And every Democrat lost to a Republican woman, a Republican minority, or a Republican veteran.
Okay, fine. But you guys lost the House. You lost the House, you lost the Senate in 2 different elections, and you lost the presidency. So, bully on you.
We need people to join with us to be able to fire Nancy Pelosi. If your viewers want to join, just go to firepelosi.com and help us win the majority, but help us turn this country around. It's not going to be given to us. It has to be earned.
Yep. So you think you can turn how many seats? I mean, it's been talked about 25 up to 30. What's your estimate?
It doesn't matter. Why? Why make an estimate? Just battle for every single district. But okay, yeah, we need a number. Follow up on that question.
Well, the lines have not been drawn yet. There's going to be fewer competitive seats, but my goal is to win the majority. If we are able to win a majority...
And refuses to answer again. Okay.
That's how we're able to govern. We don't know all the lines. There's 25 Democrats retired. We want to earn enough that we have a governing majority. That means getting in the realm of 20 and higher. If we are fortunate enough to win 35 Republican seats, that would be the largest Republican majority in more than 100 years.
Congressman, we're going to be watching. We hope you'll come back soon to walk us through as the time goes on. Thank you so much, sir. We will be watching.
All right, what's going on in the chat room, guys? Let's see. By the way, the country is all on fire with the COVIDs. I just checked yesterday. Seattle, where I am currently, has like a 45% positivity rate. That means of the people taking tests, 45% of them are positive. Everybody's got the coronavirus right now, including my son, possibly my daughter, my son's girlfriend. Son's girlfriend got to the point where she was having bronchitis with it, is now feeling better as of last night. I'll find out how they're feeling this morning when I get word from them. So just be careful out there. Try not to do things. Try not to go out to restaurants and bars and take your masks off. Why the system's all rigged for the GOP, so why would they vote anyway? There's My Pillow. There's Kristi Noem. I don't know if we all want to listen to Kristi Noem. And then she reacts to Jen Psaki. Speaking of Psakis, my socks are starting to itch me, and my foot hurts. So we might wrap up the broadcast and come back later or something. Ron Johnson is on as well. Ron Johnson, by the way, when he ran, he said, I'm going to do 2 terms, and that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to be one of those senators that hangs around forever. I'm going to retire at the end of my 2nd term, and that's going to be it, people. So send me to Washington. Now he's running again. He's decided he's just going to go back on that whole promise. So we got Ron Johnson this morning, and then we got, doctors. We got, Ron Johnson with a doctor. Oh, boy, I hope this is about the vaccine. By the way, YouTube, I am not promoting whatever these doctors are saying. We are analyzing it. We are reacting to it. Let's find out what the nonsense is today. We've moved on from ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, apparently. Most of the cases now are being home tested and found positive, like my son, like his girlfriend, both positive on home tests and barely positive for one of them. But if you get any kind of line, that's COVID. Those numbers are not reported. And I've tried to look for places to report them. And the best you can do in some counties, they're all about it. They're like, hey, log into this website. But so many counties have just stopped reporting it. In fact, Washington doesn't even update their data site, their dashboard with positivity rates. You have to go to other sites to find those because the people doing all of this stuff are just too busy with cases.
What you're seeing is the product of a system, right? The system is...
Okay, you be quiet. Cujo said the restaurant that I worked at closed down after 7 employees tested positive. We are opening back up on Tuesday. Good luck to you there, Cooch. Lots of things are closing right now because of COVID. People are adjusting their hours, etc. But Omicron is so infectifying that if you have it and you are at a workplace, you're going to get almost everybody sick. Hopefully everybody gets over it quickly. That seems to be the way it goes. The trouble is there's so much of it that even if it's a small percentage that ends up in the hospital, it overwhelms the hospital. So right now, I think, like I heard yesterday, we were at 80% capacity in this country. The trouble with that stat is that means some places are over 100%. Some places are less, lower, whatever. I should get Kevin McCarthy to do this for me. Something else happened with... So, oh yeah, I may in fact still be in Seattle today because of Omicron. I don't even know. Flights were changed on me, and I ended up anyway. The one flight I bought, by the way, let me shout out to Ujo. There's a website called OOJO, and they advertised a very low flight on Alaska Airlines. So I booked it. I got a call like 2 minutes later, gentleman with a very heavy Indian accent telling me that flight was actually full now. But they can put me on another flight for the same price earlier in the day at 6 a.m. No, thank you. There were reasons I booked that Alaska flight. No, we can put you on this other flight that's not direct for the same cost, even though that was a cheaper flight. It's a scam. So stay away from OOJO is my advice. Ujo, maybe, is what
entirely structured, and it's scary how it's structured. It's structured to entirely act...
Here, let's go back. I think this guy's a doctor.
This had been...
Oh, here we go. Let's go back.
Welcome back. That is another truth teller. That was former neurosurgeon.
Oh, hold on. Let's go back. We got a truth teller. Oh.
Looking at...
It's Ben Carson.
30702 or go to superbeatsdeal.com. So call 1-800-3...
Tracy said something that's held for review. Let's go ahead and show it. There you go. Another moderator just handled this. Well, thank you, moderators. Here we go. This is something about Ben Carson.
30702 or visit superbeatsdeal.com right now.
Again, YouTube, whatever they're about to say here on the TV, I am not endorsing that. We are reacting to it, and it will be nonsense. Well, we don't know that, but let's find out.
We shouldn't be satisfied with what we have now. We should be looking at therapeutics. We should be emphasizing...
That is correct, and we are.
Those. We should be looking at areas of the world where COVID is not prevalent, like on the western coast of Africa, and say, why is it not prevalent there? Well, for one thing, they take antimalarials, like hydroxychloroquine.
They take those all over Africa, and yet coronavirus swept through South Africa. Omicron, that's where it came from. So, yeah, no.
We should be finding out, why is that going on? Is that just a coincidence?
Africa in general has not been hammered with coronavirus like we have. Number one, they pay attention to some of the health regulations. They do what they're supposed to do. And a lot of the houses there have no windows. That's probably the biggest thing. These are just postulations on my part. I don't know. I'm not saying these are facts, but I'm just reacting to what Ben Carson is saying. Please follow the CDC guidelines. Follow what your doctors tell you. Not this doctor. Ben Carson is not your doctor.
Ivermectin, some of the other things that have been...
Ivermectin has been shown to be completely ineffective against coronavirus. In fact, can be detrimental for you. So do not take ivermectin to combat coronavirus. Okay? There was one study that made it look kind of good, and that study was then later redacted.
Extremely effective.
They used ineffective data. That's so extremely effective, but ineffective.
Let's not have tunnel vision and say, just everybody get the vaccine and stop our...
Okay, but let's. Okay?
feet and say, we're going to do everything we can to make sure everybody gets the jab.
Yeah, that'd be good. By the way, mandates work. Mayo Clinic, the headline in the Times was Mayo Clinic fires 700 of its employees because they refused to get vaccinated. Yeah, but they have 73,000 employees. So instead of saying the vaccine mandate with the Mayo Clinic was more than 99% effective at its job, they say, oh, they had to fire 700 employees. Oh, my God. All those healthcare workers, it's 1%, less than 1%.
Welcome back. That is another truth teller. That was former neurosurgeon HUD Secretary Dr. Ben Carson on this program last month, discussing the success that many drugs have been having for COVID, and they've been on the market for years. There are expectations of millions of Americans calling out sick this upcoming week as the number of Omicron COVID cases spikes. The U.S. recorded its highest day, almost 1 million new cases on Friday, after reaching a record on Monday. Yet this administration continues to refuse to acknowledge treatments that have worked.
Well, the ones that don't work, yeah.
Such as anti-malaria drugs, hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. They are cheap.
But they don't work. It has been studied. We've been studying this now for 2 years.
They are generic. They're off patent. Why is the administration telling us to ride it out and be sick for 2 weeks, stopping our lives for 2 weeks instead of treating these?
They're not. If you're fully vaccinated and asymptomatic, all you have to do is wear a mask. You can keep going out. You can keep living your life. You can keep working. And by fully vaccinated, I mean boosted as well. That should be what fully vaccinated is. It shouldn't even be fully vaccinated. It should just be up to date. Are you up to date on your vaccines? That means, are you boosted? Whatever the latest recommendation is up to date. And if you are boosted, the current CDC guidelines are, unless you're symptomatic, go on out in the world. If you have to. Better away from people. Let's all just stay away from people right now. That's the best case scenario. If you a proper mask, not a cloth mask, an N95 or KN95, you can go out in the world, says the CDC. I know this because I have at least one child right now with COVID. He's symptomatic, though. He's not going anywhere.
Flu symptoms at the first sign of infection. Joining me right now is Dr. Pierre Kory. Dr. Kory is the president and chief medical officer of the Frontline COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance. He joins myself and Senator Ron Johnson.
Okay, but where does he work?
Kory, thanks very much for being here.
Wrong side. Guys, she's looking this way for him and that way for...
What do you think is going on?
Well, what you're seeing is the product of a system, right? The system is entirely structured, and it's scary how it's structured. It's structured to entirely act within the interests of for-profit pharmaceutical corporations. There is no system for assessing and approving generic drugs, and in fact, it's almost like there's a blockade that's set up. They just don't approve them. They don't assess them, and in this pandemic, those drugs have actually been shown to be the most effective. They're used all around the world. 25% of the planet is using ivermectin in COVID. There's 73 controlled trials, yet they're being ignored.
They're using ivermectin and COVID? If we could start using COVID, that would be great.
The system will only listen to large, double-blind, randomized controlled trials done by pharma, and so these generic drugs, they don't get approved and they get ignored. And the tragedy, Maria, is that this entire pandemic
No, they don't get ignored. They've been studied multiple times, and they make no difference whatsoever.
Have not had an early treatment recommended by the government. It's because they've been waiting for the approvals for the novel patented drugs. And the two that just got approval, one study, one and done with these pharmaceutical companies, and meanwhile you have the generic drugs which have many dozens of trials and they don't get approval. It is absolutely absurd. And these drugs that
because they don't work.
Just got approved, one doesn't work. India just canceled their order for it because they know it doesn't work, and the other one is highly toxic. And so the absurdity and the tragedy and the damage on the American people by a broken system, we need to fix this, where people are dying because they're being deprived of highly effective, cheap, widely available drugs that do not present as obscene profits to the pharmaceutical companies.
That do not present as, that's doctor talk, but that doesn't make any sense.
That is disgusting. I know for a fact that hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin work to treat COVID.
They don't, though. That's fine. It's correlation causation. Oh, I had COVID and I recovered. What did you take while you're doing? Well, I had some coffee. Oh my God, coffee saves you from. Oh, why isn't everyone drinking coffee? Why is Big Pharma stopping the coffee lobby?
Senator, I want to ask.
By the way, I would love to go to a coffee lobby this morning. Fill up. I'm out of it.
You if this is all about money. Big Pharma is the largest lobbying spender in terms of money spent on lobbying.
Right. That is, they are the largest lobbying spender in terms of money spent on lobbying. Yep, that is how words work.
Is this administration trying to ensure that
Again, I'm just going to pause right here and let YouTube know, let anybody watching, I am not endorsing what they are saying. We are reacting to it. We are analyzing it. This is a town hall. This is all okay on YouTube. I am saying do not do what they recommend. Do what your doctor recommends. Do what the CDC recommends. Don't do what these people are telling you.
these big pharma companies make $90 billion on vaccines and people don't go for the cheaper alternatives, which are off patent?
Well, no, the vaccines are a preventative. Okay. You're talking about therapeutics, things to treat you after you have it. But if you get the vaccine, you're going to be okay eventually, theoretically.
I don't know, what other explanation there really would be.
What?
These drugs are approved. They're just not recommended for this particular application.
Right. Aspirin is also approved, but we don't take aspirin for cancer.
So doctors have off-label prescription rights. People like Dr. Corey, doctors that have the courage and compassion to treat patients, I'd much rather listen to them than the folks in the ivory tower in our agencies that don't treat patients and just make these.
By the way, the FDA is not an ivory tower. You can see the FDA building on the Googles. It is not an ivory, just so you know.
Announcements. But Maria, remember, I'm the champion of right to try. Right to try allows patients and their doctors to actually
let's analyze
treat patients. I'd much rather listen to them than the folks in the ivory tower in our agencies that don't treat patients and just make these pronouncements. But Maria, remember, I'm the.
Okay, so these are the actual. Okay, so in 12 months, the COVID vaccines. There's no source quoted on what this is. In 12 months with the COVID vaccines, deaths per year, 21,002. From what? Not from the vaccines. What are they even talking about? I don't know. Tylenol. The deaths per year from Tylenol, they're saying 1,000 deaths from Tylenol. What? Not per year. What? They're saying that from Tylenol, there are 112. Oh, they're just using the stuff off of VAERS. VAERS is a completely unverified, you can report whatever you want system. You could get in the right. It's basically Wikipedia for drugs with nobody correcting anything. So take away Wikipedia, have Wikipedia, and then take away the accountability. That's what VAERS is. I'm sure that's, but they're not showing us what that stat is. And they put it up very quickly and make it go away. So they probably put it up and realized, like, oh crap, we don't even have a source on this one.
Champion of.
This looks very much like it was captured off a Facebook meme. You can even see somebody copy and pasted here. You can see there's a gray line underneath here that just kind of ends. This is a copy and paste from something. This is not a newsworthy graphic. Plus, it's all blurry, at least on my end. So that means it's even blurrier on your end. This is just nuts.
Right to try. Right to try allows patients and their doctors to actually utilize a medicine that is not fully FDA approved.
Okay, here's a graphic that they created. I'm not sure what it's saying. Fluvoxamine. Fluvoxamine is the first time I've heard of fluvoxamine with COVID, but okay. And those boxes, one's in French. So, okay.
like the vaccines. Give people that freedom. But what is such a scandal is you have these approved generic drugs. They are safe. The safety profile is remarkable on these things, and yet
they don't treat COVID. One of them is an anti-parasitic. If you have tapeworm from COVID, then yeah, absolutely, take the ivermectin.
Use is being blocked and sabotaged by people like Fauci and Collins and Walensky and the Biden administration. And I agree with the doctors like Dr. Corey, who said that probably 500,000 people in America might have needlessly died for lack of treatment. And let's face it, isn't it always early detection allows for early treatment, gets better results for every other disease except for COVID? It's a real head scratcher. It's a scandal.
Unbelievable. Dr. Corey, it certainly feels that way. Tell me about the safety and the effectiveness of things like hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and there was also an op-ed on fluvoxamine the other day, fluvoxamine.
Yeah, I mean, all three medications have been around for decades. They have unparalleled safety profiles. And
yeah, so is Tylenol.
The efficacy signals around them are now inarguable, unquestionable. They sit atop large evidence bases. And I have to tell you,
okay, but they don't.
Myself and my organization, we've spent the whole pandemic trying to disseminate the evidence of efficacy to doctors, to patients, to people, and they are listening. And I have to tell you, my organization, the FLCCC at flccc.net, we have our protocols there. And I have to tell you, our organization, myself, are daily inundated with people who are in despair because they are sick and they cannot get access to the medicines. Most doctors won't prescribe, and now the pharmacies won't fill because the agencies, which literally are acting in lockstep with pharma, are sending threatening letters, scaring doctors, scaring pharmacists. It's a war out here.
It's not a war. I'd like to see one of those letters. Also, hey, please don't prescribe stuff that hasn't been proven to be a treatment. That's all. I think that's fairly simple to say.
If you win a third term, Senator, are you going to investigate Anthony Fauci?
Remember, he said he wasn't going to run for a third term. That was his promise. He's going to do 2 terms and done because there should be term limits. And now he's just going to do a third term.
Well,
which literally are acting in lockstep with pharma, are sending threatening letters, scaring doctors, scaring pharmacists. It's a war out here.
If you win a third term, Senator, are you going to investigate Anthony Fauci?
Well, we already are. The fact of the matter is that under FOIA request, there are over 4,000 pages of emails between him and people like Francis Collins. We're getting them in dribs and drabs. I mean, that in itself is a scandal. The fact that the agencies aren't being transparent with Congress or the American public. But no, we got to get to the bottom of
So when Trump is not transparent with the agencies and the American public, when Steve Bannon isn't transparent with the American people and the public, etc., when all of that is happening, that's not a problem at all. It's Dr. Collins. That's the problem. The guys who have dedicated their life to saving Americans. That's the problem.
His corruption.
All right, I want to take a short break. When we come back, I want to ask you, Dr. Corey, what people should do right now.
Oh, good. I want to see what people should do right now, and then I'm going to go because my foot is now aching. Short break, quick break. What should people do? Get yourself vaccinated. This is what he should be saying. Get yourself vaccinated and boosted if you already aren't. Please take care of yourself. Let's do some prevention here so that people stop dying. I'm sure that's what he's about to say.
Care specialist on the front lines of this pandemic. Dr. Corey, if someone out there is watching and has COVID, they got Omicron, what?
Too late. What about the vaccines? Please tell them to take the vaccines.
What are the best ways to treat this right now? We've been talking about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, and I know you feel that we need to take that early in the infection. But what else? I'm hearing a lot about supplements, vitamin D, vitamin C. Give us your sense of what we should be doing to protect ourselves.
Well, that's what my organization has done. From the beginning, we've put together protocols for the hospital, long haul, and early treatment.
Yeah, what is it? Tell us what it is. By the way, I'm not endorsing this in any way, shape, or form, and do not buy a bunch of nutraceuticals from these people.
Early treatment is the key. It avoids all of the need for the other protocols. If you go to our website, which is flccc.net, we're a nonprofit organization. We have first-line, second-line medications. Some of them are prescription. Almost all
prescription. Hold on. What was it? flccc.net. Hold on. Let's go back and see what it is. Do it.
But what else? I'm hearing a lot about supplements, vitamin D, vitamin C. Give us your sense of what we should be doing to protect ourselves.
Well, that's what my organization has done. From the beginning, we've put together protocols for the hospital, long haul, and early treatment. Early treatment is the key. It avoids all of the need for the other protocols. If you go to our website, which is flccc.net, we're a nonprofit organization. We have first-line, second-line medications. Yes. Some of them are prescription. Almost all are generic or repurposed. And like you just mentioned, quite a few are over-the-counter, easily available.
Okay, some of them are prescription. Some of them are prescription. That's what he said. So let's look at the prescriptions here. So ivermectin. Ivermectin. What else we got here? Ivermectin. Okay. The John Frederick Show. Trucking the Truth Across America. With Amanda Chase, Virginia State Senator. Critical updates. Okay. Christopher D'Souza is a doctor. That sounds like a doctor. Quick link. Protocols. Okay. Find pharmacies. Ivermectin. This seems to be all ivermectin. Let's go to protocols. Science marches on. Ivermectin. Math Plus, hospital treatment protocol for COVID-19. iRecover, management protocol for long-haul COVID-19 symptoms. Prevention and early outpatient treatment protocol for COVID-19. Tell me about the prevention. iMask Plus, okay. Again, ivermectin here. This is all I'm seeing. It's just ivermectin. Okay, it's centered around ivermectin, a well-known FDA-approved anti-parasitic drug that's been used successfully for more than 4 decades to treat river blindness, other parasitic diseases, right? Where's the hydroxychloroquine, etc.? Complete guide to care of the COVID-19 patient. Now it's opening up a document. I recover the use of off-label drugs on page 3. Let's go down and see what they're recommending. There's no magic bullet is what we're saying. Okay, the use of off-label drugs. Okay, hydroxychloroquine as well as mentioned here, but that's about a court case. Treatment, here we go. Early treatment. Treat immediately on symptoms or shortly thereafter. Right. So what do we take here? Oh, there's viral debris. Okay, time course. Here we go. Antiviral prescriptions and anti-inflammatory prescriptions. Okay, but what? And then, okay, so ivermectin. That's what they're saying, ivermectin. Acetaminophen plus gargling. So Tylenol. Then melatonin, vitamin D, vitamin C, flavonoids, zinc, omega-3s, statin, and fluvoxamine. Or just get vaccinated. Just do that. Okay, so again, do not follow any of these treatments. We're just taking a look at this. We're not actually endorsing any of this. Talk to your own doctor, and hopefully it's not this guy.
With known efficacy, there are numerous trials supporting them, and we put together those protocols as a group of highly experienced specialists, and they're very effective. And so, to give your listeners...
They have more than a 96% survival rate.
Viewers agency, they should...
This is a disease that kills less than 1% of the people that it infects, by the way.
Visit our website, look at the protocols,
right.
try to use what they can get access to, because that's the last thing where I have to bring it up again.
What?
But we've prevented access.
Yeah. Like what?